Hey, how are you? I'm kind of regretting not grabbing the selfie stick right now, but you know what? It happens the way it happens. Hi, I'm Tony, aka Tree Town Tony. I'm uh, I'm out here in an area. I am surrounded by trees, although I'm not technically in a town that I call Tree Town. Um, golf course over here. I'm just like this is my neighborhood. Like I really I love it. Like this is my neighborhood. I live in this area that's just surrounded by all this green land. And there's a community park right here. That is a community golf course. There's a community city skateboard park. Although I've been seeing some really cool devices other than skateboards at that place. It's been really neat to see, being a former skater from the late 80s, early 90s, I know this isn't really the best format right now. I can't really zoom out any further. But this isn't the point. It's not the point. I've decided that whenever I'm compelled, I'm going to make a video. And it doesn't matter what's going on. I'm just going to stop what I was doing. I was just kind of strolling along, listening to my music, enjoying the fresh air. And I felt compelled to share. So I was thinking about something earlier. I was thinking about this earlier, some of the most impactful words that people have said to me were words that originally really made me mad, putting it lightly. And I remember one, excuse me, whew, I knew the hiccup was coming. Okay. There was one time very specifically. So I was in the real estate industry, and a lot of people I knew were making a lot more money in mortgages than they were in real estate, and I thought maybe I could jump on board. So I went to go interview with this big mortgage broker company, and I remember okay, so I'm in the interview, and the first stage of the interview with the very first person. There were multiple stages. It was a really cool experience. Never really been interviewed like that before. Yeah, kind of shows you where I came from. Anyway, I'm in the interview, and and he's asking me just kind of basic everyday interview questions. What do you like about the company, and what do you hope to achieve when you're here, your goals, and etc. And so I kind of gave my spiel, and then when he just he listened to me, and he said, okay, well that's great, but a lot of people do that in real estate. They achieve the same level of success that you're talking about. How come you're not doing it there? And I had what I believed at the time was a list of reasons. I'm a new parent, and we just bought our first house. Trying to survive on just 100% straight commission without any kind of salary draw is really difficult. All kinds of stuff, right? Just telling them the whole gig, the whole deal, what was going on in Tony's life and why he can't succeed in selling real estate. And he, again, very patiently heard me out and let me, say everything I had to say. And he took a moment, and he looked at me, and he looked me dead in the eyes, and he said, if I were you, I'd stop making excuses. And in that moment, And I was not even close to the person I am today. Like, I was such a different person back in those days. I had a very short temper, to say the least. So, you know, this really offended me because, you know, I had this firm belief that, you know, those were legitimate reasons why I couldn't, you know, achieve my goals. And, you know, I'm just like boiling inside in this moment. You know, I'm just like, so mad, I'm so angry. I can't believe you just said that to me. Look at the nerve of this guy. But I wanted a job. I wanted a job, and I wanted to, you know, I don't know, just be, you know, cordial. Like, I just didn't want to, you know, act like the Hulk, you know, in the middle of a job interview, at the beginning of a job interview. And I just said, okay. And then, you know, he kind of finished off the interview, and we did a little tour, and then he introduced me to another manager who'd be in charge of my department type thing, and etc. I didn't get hired. You know, and excuse me, sorry about that. I know, like, I'm just being myself here, seriously. I love you guys, and I thought, you know, share this little story with you and kind of tell you like how that affected my life, right? So, you know, so here I am in this position where I'm like, it still hasn't hit me yet. You know, and it's really, the really crazy thing is that it didn't hit me until last year. And it's like, this story I'm talking about, like, this occurred in like the early 2000s, like somewhere around between, I don't know, I want to say like around 2005, in that area. Okay, it was in the first decade anyway. And you know, like 2012 arrives, I'm sorry, 2022 rather arrives, and you know, I was in a really dark place, and through the process of healing and getting out of this like suicidal depression that I was in, during that process, I realized that I was the #1 like heavyweight champion of the world of making excuses. I made excuses for everything. And it was like, if something presented itself as an obstacle to me, it was an immediate excuse validation. If that makes sense. It's like, oh, there's my excuse right there. And so, you know, becoming aware of the fact, like, you know, like all this time later, there's nothing I can do about that, but like being aware of this fact and then seeing myself do it, like after becoming aware of the fact that I was making excuses for literally everything, and normally, I said this in the other video, making excuses to do nothing. Okay, I don't know, like, if that really makes sense to anybody, but like, a lot of times, like, it would be, the excuse would be the validation to let me off the hook so that I wouldn't have to put in some type of effort. So that even if I needed money and I'm working on commission or something to that effect, if I got the right excuse, then it's not my fault that I didn't get the sale. It was the fault of the excuse that I came up with. And so, like, I had found myself I found in 2022, I found myself in this position where I finally like got off my butt and I started walking, and I got a job, like a gig work job. You know, I was fortunate to be in this position, but I got like this gig work job walking dogs, right? And that's a completely different story altogether. I'll tell that story too. Maybe that'll be the next video, because the dog walking story is really cool, like the way it all came about and how it happened, and how it changed my life. But I kind of went from, you know, taking a couple of dogs here and there throughout the week, you know, and then eventually kind of came out to like, you know, here I am walking a dog every day, or a couple dogs every day, at least on my available work days. And I'm like, wow, I walked a half a mile today. Wow, I walked like a mile for the first time in probably decades. Oh man, maybe not decades, but certainly a long time, more than a decade anyway. And then here I am, next thing, and I'm walking multiples of miles, like 2-3 miles. Like, wow, I haven't done that. You know, wow, I'm you know, and I'm just like, you know, measuring things on a pedometer here. So one day we had this like really windy, like super Michigan windy day. Like it was almost like we were on the verge of a tornado, but it never really happened, kind of thing. Like it was just like this powerful wind. And it was cold, and like my dog walking, like it's a per job, it's a gig job thing. So like if you do the job, you get paid. If you don't do the job, regardless of whether you have some kind of thing stopping you from doing the job, you don't get paid. You don't get paid just for showing up. It doesn't work that way. So one of my clients, they lived on this private road, and there was only one way in, one way out. They lived on a cul-de-sac, and it was only like, I don't know, like a half a mile or something. Like the whole road was like a half mile long. And I turn on the road, off of the main road, I turned onto the road, and there's this tree, like this big tree, like almost the size of this guy right here, like this big tree, right? And it had fallen over, and it had fallen completely over the road. There's like no way you're gonna drive around it, over it, anything like that. There's just no way you're gonna drive anywhere near this. You can't get through. So Mr. King of Excuses here, right? I have nothing else to do. That time slot is booked for them. I don't have anything else to do. I don't have time to do anything else except for nothing. All right, so I take a snapshot of the tree. I turn around and I start heading away from their house and heading back to the main road. And I'm getting ready to type them a message to say, sorry, I can't walk your dogs today because there's this tree. Because there's this tree in the middle of the road and I can't drive around it. And I as I'm heading away, it occurs to me, you're walking dogs every day. You walk right now. Your job at the moment, like you're literally getting paid to walk. So since this is a private road with no traffic, just park your car and go walk to their house and take care of their dogs like you've been hired to do. They're depending on you. Not the clients, the dogs. The dogs are depending on me, right? But you know, Mr. King of Excuses here is trying to figure out a way to make excuses to leave these poor dogs alone for who knows how many hours. If they're bringing me in to help out, they're too busy, right? They're, you know, so it's for a reason. You know, there's like a real reason for this. Oh my God, me and my excuses. So, you know, that's kind of why that's kind of why I made this video. In the moment that I made it, and the fashion that I've made it, I mean, I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not here to do any of that. I'm here to help. I really want to help. I just hope I can inspire you in some kind of way. I'm going to continue to talk about what it was like when I was in that state of depression, because, you know, short of actually seeing me in that state, or short of me actually talking about being in that state during that state, you really wouldn't know. I'm very good at hiding my emotions. I'm very good at isolating. I'm very good at kind of just like reacting or overreacting to the world, along with making excuses. You know, I got so out of shape that the combination of my being overweight, being on a poor diet, and having some other, you know, like skeletal type issues wrong with me, like my back and those kind of things, which again were, you know, were made much worse based on the physical condition that I was in. And I'm in this like mental depression, which I know is all tied together. It's all tied together. Like what we're doing with our physical bodies has an effect on our mental state. Our mental state has an effect on how we live spiritually. And I keep making this distinction here. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not knocking religion. Rock on, you're a religious person. Many people find many wonderful things through religion. But that's just not what I'm talking about. Is my point. I'm talking about your spiritual life, as in living by a set of spiritual principles, which, you know, again, you know, a lot of religions are pointing back toward, you know, living your life in a spiritual fashion, being of service to others. There's the number one right there. There's the big guy, being of service to others. And that's what I'm doing here, guys. You know, I want to be of service to you. I have the time to do it right now. I can make all kinds of excuses, you know. Oh, I you know, I got my backpack, I'm walking, it's hot outside, I haven't shaved. You know, I'm gonna look stupid on camera. I don't really know what the you know, what the topic is really gonna be, except for sharing that story about, you know, me making excuses and that guy calling me out on it. And he was the first one to do it. You know, he was the first one to do it, and it took a lot of different life experiences for me to finally realize that that's what I was doing. And, you know, I'm not saying that you're making excuses, but I'm saying that, you know, maybe you might want to take a look at things, you know. If you find yourself that you're stuck in a place where, you know, oh, I can't exercise because of this, I can't go on a diet because I need to have, you know, these types of foods daily, I can't, you know, I can't live a spiritual life because I don't believe in any kind of God or religion or whatever. Like I've made every kind of excuse in the world to not live my life in a better way, like a good person. You know, I just, it always seemed like everything was just about like me and what I wanted and making myself comfortable, and not about, like, you know, how can I be a good person to other people in my life? You know, how can I have a positive effect to not only the people that I interact with, but how can I have a positive effect on the world, perhaps? You know, like, I mean, I don't know how many people this is gonna reach. You know, I don't think every single person in the world is gonna hear my words, but maybe millions. You think? Eventually? Yeah, let's start there. Let's start with millions. Millions of people are gonna watch my videos, and you're gonna be able to see the real, authentic side of me, like you're seeing right now. This is just me. This is me living my life, sharing my experience. You know, I've been able to overcome this this horrible state of depression that I was in. And you know, amongst that, the other things that have happened where I've transformed in my life are, you know, those are also things that I'm going to talk about, you know, in other videos. But yeah, I'm gonna try to stick to this, trying to stick to this excuse topic here. So, you know, if you have a lot of reasons to not do something, maybe you might want to look and see if maybe perhaps some of them are maybe excuses. And if they're excuses, maybe there is something that you can do instead of making the excuse. Maybe there's an action you can take. Maybe you can turn around, park the car, and walk to the client's house and go do your job, and then walk back to the car and continue on with your day without losing a minute. Oh my God. If you're in that deep dark place, I've been there. I get it. I feel for you. I'm gonna keep making these videos for you. And we'll see how it goes. All right, thank you guys. I love you.